the second tape in the series of instructional tapes on the Kaajo system. My name is Gary Forbach, and I'll be guiding you through these tapes. This tape is on the pinions of the Kaajo system. First pinion is number 1. At the time you attempt to learn these pinions, you should be well versed in the basics and the fundamentals of the Kaajo system, meaning the stances, blocks, and punches. As you can see, the beginning of all pinions begin with a salute, squatting position, which is characteristic of Kaajo, and back to a ready position. Pinion 1 starts with an outward block, moving back, downward block, and inward block from forward stances, turning an X block, head motion, X block, side to side cover, stepping forward into a forward stance and forward punch, elbow smash, outward block, cupping the ear, striking the groin, back fist to the face, head motion, X block, and back to position. If you watch closely in the following sequences, you'll be able to watch the stances and watch the blocks as they're applied. As you can see, the pinions include all the basics in the system. Pinions are used to practice all of the blocks, punches, and kicks that you've been taught in your training. Again, outward block, downward block, inward block, snapping head motion, horse stance, X block, snapping head motion, horse stance, X block, side to side cover, step and punch with a ki, elbow smash, outward block, stepping into your opponent, cupping the ear, striking the groin, back fist to the face, head motion, X block, and that concludes the form. These pinions should be practiced every day with a dedicated student to practice your basic blocks, punches, and kicks. Now we have the applications used in the pinions. Outward block, downward block to the kick, inward block for the punch. Each movement within the pinions can be applied on the street. As you can see, the back is straight. Looking at your opponent, always try to keep your nose as a rule of thumb. For balance and proper posture, try to keep your nose behind your belly button. In other words, don't lean forward and don't arch your back. Keep your back straight. Also, try to keep your stances low to build strength in the legs. also lowering the center of the gravity, helping your balance. For those people that are familiar with the Kajukenbo system, including instructors and advanced students, you'll see that many of the pinyons that are performed here are basic, very basic. Throughout the system, these forms have been changed through the years, and we're demonstrating the basic pinyons as they were taught at Plama Settlement and developed by Professor Imperato and the other creators of our system. I'd like to point out from the beginning of these tapes that we're not saying that people in the system are performing their pinyons wrong. We're just demonstrating the proper basic form that was standardized and the basic pinyons of the system when they were created. Pinyon number 2. Again, beginning with a salute, squatting position, in the beginning of the form. And now in slow motion, the salute, paying respect, squatting position, X block, double elbow smash, double strike, down to the ground, into your opponent, hands coming up, inhaling. In a strong low horse stance, double back fist to the face, drop back, groundwork, punch, going back on an angle, back into a horse stance, side to side cover, draw into the cat stance, left outward, long outward block, poke to the eyes with the right hand, cross over, back into your horse stance, side to side cover. Blocking the groin kick and a kick to the into the solar plexus, dropping down into a horse stance, striking the ribs. From here, you drop down to a kneeling position, strike the groin. As your opponent drops down, step up, horse stance, elbow to the head, driving him back, punch, forward punch, another forward punch. Stepping back into a horse stance, X block, completing the form. Again, the Kajukenbo system is one in which Shijo Imperato encourages creativity. So many of the forms that some of you might have witnessed in the past that are performed in the Kajukenbo system might be a little different than what you're seeing here. What we're trying to demonstrate is the basic form. Not to say that any of the instructors or students are doing them wrong for performing purposes, but we're trying to show the basic foundation of the system to standardize the basics. As I mentioned earlier, it's very important to work on low, strong stances. This builds strength in the legs, which will help you in your techniques that you'll be learning later. Again, you can see the back is straight, stances are low, strikes snap. Your punches, strikes, blocks, everything should be very crisp. Snapping blows, snapping blocks and punches. Completing the form, going back to the salutation and to standing position. Kagyoukembu is known for its strength and power, and it's got to be shown through your forms as you perform. I'd also like to point out the purpose of showing this form several times is for the benefit of the beginning students and the people that are just learning these forms. Now applications for pinyon number 2. Kick to the groin, blocking the punch, poking the eyes. All simultaneously performed out of a cat stance. Back to side cover. Side step, drop down, kneeling position, groin poke, elbow smash, 2 forward punches, driving him back. You can see the groin strike brings your opponent down, elbows to facilitate the elbow strike to the head, which drives him back, allowing you to throw your 2 forward punches. Again with the salutation, squatting position, strike to the ground, double strike, as you can see, all the basics are applied. Like I said before, it's very important to practice your basics no matter what rank you are. Squatting position, X block with the ki, downward strike, drawing the hands up, inhaling as you come up, maintaining your low stance, keeping your knees bent in a good square horse stance, double back fist with the ki, outward block, strike to the face, turn into a forward stance and downward block, groin block, and a kick to the solar plexus, the bottom fist strike to the ribs, and a side to side cover. Crossing over in front, dropping your stance, stepping out into a horse stance, looking the opposite direction, side to side cover. Step forward again, reverse punch or forward punch, elbow smash, snapping head motion, and the short shooting star. Stepping down to a forward stance with an upward block and a groin strike. Step and turn, drop into your horse stance in a fighting position. Stepping back, drop into a kneeling stance, strike the groin, step up, elbow smash, turn to a horse stance, X block, the form's complete. Again, I'd like to point out that these forms should be practiced daily by a dedicated student. It gives you a chance to practice by yourself, practice your basics, practice your stances, your blocks, punches, kicks, everything that you've been taught, and to perfect all those movements by yourself. Major part of the training in martial arts is to learn self-discipline, and by making yourself practice your pinyons, you're disciplining yourself to practice hard. Serious students practice their forms every day. As I mentioned earlier, and in the fundamentals tape, you should always keep breathing. You should never hold your breath when you're practicing. If you're a beginner and you're learning these forms for the first time, I recommend that you stop in between each move and look at your position, look at your stance, look at your back, your posture, your balance, before you move on to the next move. As in this move here, I recommend you stop, take a look at your stance, make sure your knees are bent, your back is straight, hands in a proper elbow smash position, thumbs in, before you move on to the next position. I recommend you stop in between each move so that you can, again, so that you can look at your position so that you don't develop bad habits as you're learning. Now we have applications for pinion number 3. Outward block, back fist to the face. Here, we're demonstrating the short shooting star from a different angle. Again, a different angle with the short shooting star, head motion. So you can see I'm doing a downward block, the knees lifted, toes are up. Drop down into a forward stance with your block and strike. Now, pinion number 4. This will be demonstrated by one of my black belt students, Suzette Tirado. Squat in position, and as you can see in the 2 previous examples of number 4 is a hand form. Drop into a horse stance and you remain in the horse stance. There's 16 moves. Same moves are performed on the left side that are performed on the right side. Just opposite sides. As I said before, there's 16 movements in Pinyon number 4. Beginning on the left side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that's the end of the form. The movements in the form consist of the basics that you've been taught in the fundamental state. Blocks, punches, back fists, basic strikes and blocks. Application for number 4. Outward block with a punch. Simultaneous blocking and punching. Again, I recommend you count when you're learning the form. I recommend that you count with each movement so that you can keep track of your movements. Always remember, when you're viewing on a screen, the movements are on the opposite side. She begins on her left side. So as you practice, you have to remember you're looking at opposite direction. As in the previous forms, they're demonstrated to use slowly, and then at regular speed, and also slow motion. And now slow motion. Again, the salutation, which is always followed by squatting position. Back into a double elbow smash position in horse stance. Right foot comes up, double strike down to the side for a block, strike the face and the throat. X block as she's stepping out into a horse stance. Bring the arms down to the side, dropping down into a low horse stance. Exhaling, hands come up to the chest, again another strike to the face and the throat. She's stepping in now, doing an outward block, and also blocking a kick. Combination block and a kick. Stepping in with the right leg, striking the stomach. Uppercut, drawing back into a cat stance, in with the elbow smash. Strike the elbow again. Turning, and also there again another combination block. Here she's drawing back into the cat stance, fighting position. Stepping in, strike the groin, up to the chin. Turning. Forward stance with an upward block. Turning into another forward stance, down block, double punch. Hopping back to her left. Right side snapping kick. Hopping back on another angle. Left side snapping kick. Stepping into a forward stance with a double strike. Now turn in the opposite direction, downward block, and double punch. Turning again to the starting position, X block, and the form is complete. In teaching my students pinions and basic different forms, I always recommend that they practice slowly, very slowly. Try not to rush the forms and try not to get sloppy with their stances. Now we have applications on number 5. Block, strike to the stomach, the nose, the elbow smash, double strike. Blocking the punch and kick. Here you can see I'm stepping in, drawing my opponent down, back fist to the nose, stepping in and elbow smash, circling, strike with the back of the elbow, strike the face and the throat. As you can see, the techniques were designed to draw the body in its natural motion. Striking the stomach is going to cause your opponent to drop, which makes it easier to strike, to apply your back fists. Here I'm demonstrating the side step, side snapping kick, hopping back to my right, left side snapping kick, stepping in, strike the throat and the face. Again, back side kick, drawing my opponent down and is opening up the neck, punching the nose and the throat at the same time. Now Suzette's practicing at the speed that the pinion, after you learn the basic moves, should be practiced. Kajikembo pinion number 6. The movements in number 6 are exactly the same as in number 5. So if you've mastered the basic movements in number 5, you'll notice the only difference is that my hands are open. The form's performed with open hands as opposed to the closed hands in number 5. Everything that was explained in number 5 pinion applies to number 6. As you advance in your training, you'll notice the snap and the crispness of the techniques. That's how they should be performed. As you're performing your pinions, you should be able to use your imagination and see an imaginary opponent in front of you. You have to be able to use your head and use your imagination in performing these forms. After you've learned all the movements in the forms, as I said before, you've got all your basic techniques you're using. They should be performed with crisp, snapping movements, just as if there were an opponent in front of you. You should never get sloppy with your forms. You should never relax when you should be tense. You should always be concentrating on your forms and breathing constantly. There's many instructors in the Kagyokumbo system that are opposed to practicing forms. The whole idea of learning your forms along with your self-defense technique is to make you a complete martial artist. The forms were created at the same time the techniques were created. It's very important that these forms are practiced along with the rest of the techniques in the system. As explained in number 5, hands come up, blocks to the side, strike, open hand jabs, eye jab, upward block, dropping the hands down, back to the sides, to poke to the eyes and the throat, double blocks, stepping forward again into a good strong forward stance, double blocks, stepping in, poking the stomach, poking the eyes, elbow smash, double strike again double blocks. Draw back into your cat stance, cover, step forward and poke, rake the face, upward block, turn and downward block, double strike to the face, hopping back to your left on a 45-degree angle, right side snapping kick, left side snapping kick, step in and poke. Here you turn into a forward stance and downward block, double strike, turn back to your starting position, X block, elbow smash, and the form's complete. Now we have applications for pinyin number 6. From a cat stance, stepping in, groin strike, rake up and strike the chin. Groin strike brings your opponent down, exposing the chin and the throat. Now pinyin number 7. This pinyin is performed by one of my black belt instructors, Joe Stubbs. Salutation, squatting position, the beginning of the form.
Yes!
As you can see in the two previous presentations, opinion number 7 is a very short form, as so are the rest of the Kagekembo forms. Squatting position, which puts you down in the proper horse stance position. X block, right hand over left, double elbow smash. Side to side cover, block and strike 3 times, back to side cover, stepping forward with the left leg, left forward punch, bring the right leg forward to a horse stance, scooping block, all the way over to a down block position, pivot and punch, double punch, right, left, leaving the left hand up, kick, bring around, and back fist. Stepping back into a horse stance, double strikes to each side, hands are at the chest position, stepping back to your starting position, into a horse stance, X block, and the form's complete. As you can see, each form varies in movement and combinations of movement, teaching you various movements and combinations of movements to cope with different situations and self-defense on the street.
Yes! Yes!
Applications for Pinion 7. Down block, double punch. Down block, double punch. First punch is to the solar plexus, second punch to the face, and as you'll notice from what you've learned in your basics, it's a vertical punch. Also notice the final position in my stance. Front knees over the ankle, the back is straight and the back leg's locked. Right hand's in an elbow smash position.
Yes!
Remember, practice your forms every day.
Yes!
Train hard. And remember your basics.